my name is Anat. I'm an artist and painter from Israel. And in my work, constantly there is a place that comes alive again and again, and this is the place that I want to talk about today. So it's not a place that is like a geographical place, nor it is a place that it's completely. It's like psychological space. Okay, so this is the place where I'm working with, and this is what I want to talk about. So I call this place the land of origin. And it is a place where images exist before they become clear, before they are required to fulfill meaning. I work as a visual artist, and in my practice, in my study, I studied realism painting and figurative. This is what I do. But what I'm actually interested in is not in representation of the images themselves, is really trying to go behind it and to try to find what exists underneath it. So usually like subconsciousness, thought, feeling, emotion that comes alive. A lot of shared memory. This is what I found that exists in my gut, and a lot of silence. So before I continue with that, I want to ask you something. So if you feel comfortable, just like close your eyes for a second. Whoever feel comfortable. Try to imagine a land that does not exist. It does not exist. You've never been there, could not even be there. The people there are not one that you could recognize. The language is something that you can't really imagine. The sounds are not sounds that you're used to. The textures are different. So now just like try to walk there with your feet and to touch the surface, to touch texture, to feel, to breathe, to listen to sound. Your eyes. So this kind of like method is what I'm trying to ask the viewer to do when he looks at my art. So when I ask them to imagine a place or imagine a land that does not exist, I don't try to ask them to escape reality, but I'm trying to ask them to slow down a bit and to enter a place that we all recognize very, very intimately, very familiar to us, but sometimes we just don't have words for that. Okay. So this place that you just entered and visited with your imagination and sensation, what I call blend of origin. So it is not a land that is like nature and it's not nostalgia. It is really psychological terrain where images are formed before language, before social roles, and before explanation. And in this sense, it's really hard to enter this world today because we live in a society or in a world that constantly demands clarity of identity, of opinion, of intention, of everything. So to enter this place of blurriness, something that does not really exist here, but somewhere inside, it's kind of hard in this time. So images today are expected to be speak quickly and to explain themselves and to justify their presence. So in my land of origin, in every one of us land of origin, the images there resist this kind of demand. So the figures, so in the presentation there are paintings of me that I did. Usually they're like oils on canvas or watercolors and wax, which are talk a little bit more. So the figures that appears in my work are not portraits, or at least this is not what I'm trying to do. Sometimes the images does appear to something that I have there, but I don't know like what it is exactly. They're trying to be archetypes. They don't represent individual women, never, but their shared status of being, and status of pressure, of hesitation, of control. So what I'm especially drawn to is what I call feminine silence. It's not a silence as an absence, and it's not of submission. It is of accumulation. A state where emotion, memory, and tension are held inside the body without being released. So in my work, the body does not perform because it doesn't want to perform and it doesn't want to address the viewer directly. it doesn't want to explain itself. In a culture that constantly asks bodies to be visible, expressive, and productive, silence, in the form that I'm talking about, becomes a form of resistance. So the archetypal figure allows me to hold the silence open because it's not personal, it's collective. Okay, so over the past 3 years, my process has changed dramatically because the world around us is changing dramatically. And we are surrounded by overwhelming production of images that appears faster than we actually can process them. So AI for me, I use AI in my work, uh, but it's not because I'm interested in the AI technology itself, but it's because I feel it's a mirror to how we understand images today. So it's like rapidly and accessibly and without depth and duration. And what I do is that I reverse this kind of like state. Once I take the image after working in AI, I make him physical again. And when it returns to its physicality, then it has a body. Because for me, the generated AI, it's like a digital ghost. It has no body, it has no resistance, and it has no soul. But when I work it, when I make it anew as a physical thing, it creates the body itself. Right. So those are work that I use with watercolor and wax. And wax is something that I've been practicing the past year, and I really love it. When you combine like beeswax with resin, right, yeah, and you mix it together, it becomes like really clear. And when you put it on top of the paper, it becomes like glass, and it holds the tension that the watercolor do on the surface of the page. So the page itself is really resistant, the one I use, and then I work with the watercolor. So they spread, and then the wax stops the spreadness. And it's creates like a memory layer. So one layer after another, and it becomes like tense. So this is something that I really do a lot in my work. And what it does, it creates visible layers of time. So the surface of the paper, it remembers everything, every decision, every hesitation. So the material resistance is really essential because it slows down the process. And this is what I'm trying to do with my art. Take images that I worked on with AI, which is really rapid and fast, and then try to work on different techniques that slows it down until it is an image that can be felt and not an image that is consumed. So this is what I'm trying to do. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about stillness and the way I understand it. So stillness is something that is really central to my work, but not as like emptiness or something that is like really frozen. But it's a position. And in a hypervisual world, as we living today, where bodies are constantly asked to perform identity and emotion, my figures, at least what I'm trying to do with my figure, is to refuse that demand. So the figure tried to return inwards and remain unresolved. And this refusal is not dramatic, it is something that is really quiet and it asks something from the viewer. So the painting trying to ask time and patience and uncertainty. And they don't want to deliver a meaning. Okay, so this inward movement that I'm trying to provoke in my paintings, it's not isolation from the world, but it's concentration. And when the image refuses to speak loudly, it becomes available in another kind of a listening. Okay, I wanted to do something with a pen and a paper, but we don't have it, so we're gonna. So what I wanted to do with the pen and the paper is that I wanted to ask each one of you to write something that he feels like a thought, a feeling, a word, whatever comes, and then to pass it to the person sitting next to it. Right. And then the other person could open it and could not open it. But this is how collective consciousness, collective subconscious work. It doesn't have like ego. It doesn't have possessive of these ideas. And this is what I'm trying to enter when I work. I really try, and I did all this like technique to try to enter this place of the collective subconsciousness. Okay, so I'm going to show two or three images from my recent exhibition, my solo exhibition that I'm presenting now. And in this exhibition, I'm working with the painting that they become an installation. And the idea was to create lots of fragments of this universe that I'm talking about. So this is my land of origin. It has like multiply works inside of it. And every position that you stand in this like island that I created, you see the paintings in different directions. So in a way, the the viewer is not like looking at them, is actually like participating inside the island. Like it's like it's going like into this like little journey of it. And yeah, so this is my land of origin. And it is really something that I try to define it, but I'm not trying to define it. I actually don't want to define it. And it's something that I really return again and again in my work. That's it, basically.